Hi, I'm Rob Andrews, Product Manager for XG Firewall, and today I'm going to talk to you about what's new in version 17.5. So let's go ahead and get started. For an overview, quick agenda, we're going to talk about central management, the new ability to manage Sophos Firewall within Sophos Central. Next, we'll talk about synchronized security and the new exciting things that we have around lateral movement protection. There's a lot of top requested features on the security and networking side of things we'll get into. And then we'll wrap this up with what's new on the wireless, the APX series. So, with Sophos Central Management, we have an early access program, and this allows us to manage and see your XG Firewall within inside of Sophos Central itself. So not only do you get to control and configure the device inside of Sophos Central, but you also get a number of other interesting features as well. We give you the ability to back up and restore your firmware within inside of Sophos Central. We're going to do some basic alert management within inside of Sophos Central. And what this really means is now you've got one pane of glass essentially to be able to see not only your other Sophos assets such as your endpoints, but now your XG Firewall as well. As part of introducing Sophos Central management to XG, we want to onboard and make the onboarding experience more streamlined. This essentially gives us a zero-touch capability to deploy XG. So Sophos Central can configure a set of settings that you want to deploy, pre-deploy to your XG. Those will be pushed out to a USB stick. Then simply all you have to do is take that USB stick into your brand new Sophos XG appliance, provided it's running 17.5, boot it up, it'll be pre-configured, it'll register itself, it'll come online in Sophos Central, and you'll be able to manage, control that device the way you want to inside of Sophos Central. One of the other key features that we have with 17.5 is the ability to do lateral movement prevention. This is another really great game-changing, groundbreaking feature that we've introduced with synchronized security. So in the past, we've always had the ability to take synchronized endpoints or Sophos endpoints that are synchronized with XG and enforce policy decisions on, such as don't allow this endpoint to talk to this other endpoint based upon some layer 3 boundaries. So if XG Firewall detects that a Sophos endpoint has gone into a red or unhealthy state, not only can we isolate it from other network resources like we have in the past, but now we can actually inform all the other different endpoints on the network to don't talk to him, to stop the spread of essentially evil or malware that might happen on the network. As part of the synchronized security story as well, we're introducing the ability to get the user identity from all your Windows systems. So this allows us to take that user identity that the user signed in the system and produce and populate that inside of Sophos XG. So that way if you've got any type of user group policy, whether it's firewall policy or web policy, now we've got a really convenient way of identifying who that user is on that specific device. We've had a lot of users ask us if this is a replacement for STAS. It's not a replacement for STAS. Instead, it's another way of identifying essentially who the user is on the network. If all you have is Windows systems and you have Sophos endpoint installed, then you probably don't have a requirement for STAS at this point. Now let's talk about some of the top requested features that we have inside of XG. Some of the key themes around these are around our education space, some of the protection features that we're going to talk about, and then lastly some of the firewall and networking features that we're introducing. So from the education space, one of the top requested items, especially if you're in markets that are serving Chromebook users, is to be able to identify who the user is on a Chromebook. And so we're introducing a Chromebook user identification agent free of charge. And effectively the way this works is there's a few components on the network. The organization or school will traditionally have their on-premise Active Directory server synced up to Google's G Suite. G Suite then is managing all the devices on the network itself. And effectively our Chromebook user identity agent will then automatically be deployed to all the managed Chromebook devices. From that point going forward, the users that are signed into that Chromebook device will be identified inside of XG, and so that way if you have any type of firewall or web filtering policies, you now have an easy way of enforcing those based upon who's actually signed into that Chromebook device. As part of the enhancing the education market, we're introducing the ability to enforce safe search, YouTube safe search, and then allowing administrators to put the control of unblocking websites into the hands of the educator itself. This is a top requested feature, so it no longer requires the IT admin to log into XG and configure a policy to unblock a specific site for a school or a class, if you will. Inside the user portal, we'll give the administrator a generated token that they can then easily distribute to whoever they need to temporarily unblock a website for a class or a school. As part of the firewall features, we're introducing the ability to control essentially how firewall rules are grouped. This is a big benefit to organizations that might have a lot of different firewall rules, so it just makes it easier to manage, see all the different rules that are in the environment. Effectively, the way the grouping will work is you'll be able to set up a group type, and then when a rule is created, it'll be either auto-assigned to a group, or you can manually set the grouping policy as you desire. As part of our commitment to help some of the troubleshooting and log analysis of that's going on inside of XG, we've introduced the ability to control essentially what columns or what data that you want to see in the log viewer itself. So in the past, these were fixed columns, but now you get the ability to choose the columns that you want to see. On top of that, any type of the log events, that they will now be hyperlinked to the firewall or policy that generated those. And again, just aid some of the troubleshooting capabilities. Now let's get into some of the security features. On the email side of things, we're introducing the ability to do SPF enforcement. This is a feature that was present on the UTM side of things. We're now introducing that on the XG side, and we're upgrading the MTA to an XM client behind the scenes. On the intrusion prevention side of things, we're introducing a set of new capabilities. We're expanding out the categories that you can build policy for. We're now up to 60 different categories that you can use for filtering and controlling the different policies that you want to enforce. We're also expanding the IPS signature coverage. So not only do we have all the traditional IPS signatures that have been delivered through Sophos Labs, but we're expanding those to include signatures from Cisco's Talos's research labs as well. And then lastly, we're giving you an easier method to search through the different IPS signatures, so that way if you need to quickly identify signatures that are relevant for your specific network, you have a quick way to do that. Let's talk about the Sophos IPsec client. Sophos Connect is a brand new VPN client that we're introducing, free of charge for all of our customers and partners. This client is designed to be very easy to manage. It can be deployed out, it's just an MSI, so it can be deployed out via group policy through some type of scripting mechanism. And then the firewall itself will generate the configuration file for all the different firewalls or VPN termination points that you might have. So the user doesn't have to configure anything on their own side, which is nice. The administrator can push the config out to all the different devices, and when they click on Sophos Connect, they'll see the respective gateway or gateways that they might have connectivity to. On the IPsec and WAN failover side of things, we're introducing the ability to control essentially how the behavior happens when a failover happens between either IPsec gateways or even WAN gateways. In the past, the behavior when the WAN gateway would fail over and then would fail back, many of the connections would be left lingering essentially on the originally failed connection. In some cases, that's quite expensive. So for example, if you fail over to a 4G LTE connection or some type of satellite link, that can be really cost prohibitive to keep those connections live on that link. And in cases when those connections do come back up on your primary, more cost-effective link, you might want to forcibly remove those from the failed link, and this feature allows us to control essentially how that behavior happens in the network. Now, for organizations that aren't using Sophos Endpoint but still want an easy way to identify essentially who the user is on the endpoint, we have our client authentication agent. We're rounding this out with some new additional features, so now we are able to deploy this per device, no longer just per user. We're given the ability to hide this thing on the startup, be able to control essentially what happens when sleep timers kick in on the system, and even rounded this out with Windows XP support as well. One last thing. 17.5 MR1 is giving this ability to manage our new Sophos APX series inside of XG. The APX series are brand new wireless access points, very high performance, and we have the ability to manage those inside Sophos Central today. With 17.5 MR1, we'll have the ability to manage those same APX series now inside of XG Firewall. So let's recap. We talked about a lot of the cool features that we have in 17.5. We're introducing synchronized security features around lateral movement protection, around user identification. On the firewall and networking side, we're giving you the ability to easily group rules. We're giving you the ability to better understand your logs, be able to essentially control what data fields you see there. On the education side of the space, we're giving you the ability to do Chromebook user identification and single sign-on. or safe search enforcement and YouTube enforcement, as well as putting the override capabilities inside the hands of the administrators. And then on the wireless side of things, we're giving you the ability to manage the APX series with 17.5. So I'd encourage you to go out and install 17.5. Please partake in part of the early access program for central management. We're looking forward to get your feedback, and we're looking forward to having a great release. So thanks for your time.